Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, with special thanks to Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Antonio Hernandez, Dragon Matrix 7, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz Piątkowski, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, as we officially settle into the Defender's Heart. That said, we do have a lot of prep work we have to take care of before we can actually head out into Canabris. We have to collect a bunch of quests, unlock locations, set up for some future rewards, and of course we also have our level ups and some equipment management to take care of too. But with any luck, we should be able to jam through that today, and then get back to adventuring as of next time around. So let's jump right into this, shall we? First up, we'll go ahead and knock out these level ups, and again, these are going to be pretty simple. Everyone hits level 3, everyone picks up a new feat, and in Vex's case, he also picks up a bonus teamwork feat and the ability to automatically share all of his teamwork feats with Kaz. Skills are skills, nothing to really say there. We've already established where our points are going. Then we've got our feats, and full disclosure, my original plan here was to pick up Weapon Focus Rapier. The idea being that we would follow the same sort of growth pattern that Camellia normally follows, with Weapon Focus Rapier and then Fencing Grace at 5 for faster damage growth potential. However, that would commit us to a rapier and buckler fighting style, and I am still at least considering leaning into two-weapon fighting. We wouldn't be able to go into it very deep, but we would theoretically be able to eke out a couple of extra attacks around. It would just take us longer to really stabilize it. We wouldn't hit our full attack and damage potential until, like, Act 3. That said, I'm going to keep my options open until we hit about level 5. That's when I'll have to make my final decision. We'll stick with Kukri and Buckler for the time being, and then at 5 we'll have to choose between either Slashing Grace or two-weapon fighting. Those two feats are basically mutually exclusive, so that's the point where we'll have to lock in our fighting style. So that'll give me another 8 or 10 episodes to mull it over. As for our free teamwork feat, that is thankfully much more straightforward. We're going to go with Precise Strike. That's an extra d6 precision damage, as long as we're attacking a target we're flanking with an ally who also has that feat. And that does stack with the eventual sneak attack dice that we'll also be getting as part of the Trickster path, which, of course, is a big part of the reason I'm still thinking about two-weapon fighting. We would essentially be trading off the added security of the Buckler shield bonus for the chance for extra crits, extra sneak attacks. Not to mention, of course, the chance for outflank critical hit cascades. That's something we had just started seeing with Creed towards the end of the beta series, but which would be a lot more common if we had leaned into a weapon like the Kukris with improved crit on top. As for spells, nothing much to say there. Obviously you can see I grabbed Lead Blades, which honestly means almost nothing to us. That bumps our damage potential from D3 to D4. But it is compatible with Greater Enduring Spells, which I would like to eventually have as well, so that's just one more buff we can turn on and not think about for a full dungeon. And I will say, I feel a little better about not investing in athletics for Kaz. It turns out that while animal companions can make checks for you on exploration maps, they can't make checks for you on the world map or in dialogue checks, so we would have needed to have someone trained in it as backup anyway. As for feats, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Because we don't have to waste slots on things like Outflank or Precise Strike, we're going to go ahead and grab Fury's Fall at 3, and then Agile Maneuvers at 5. And then probably Weapon Focus Bite at 7. That should, in theory, allow Kaz to double dip into his dexterity bonus when making trip attempts. Alright, who have we got next? Oh, right, Lan, okay. I will say, with Lan, my usual go-to would have been to turn him into a Demon Slayer Ranger right at level 2, and then just run with that for the rest of the game. But in this case, we'll just keep him on Zen Archer for now. I might still change him, but probably not till level 7 or so. In the short term, this gives him a lot more free feats and special abilities, so it'll be more useful during our early romp through Canabris. And then I'll just revisit that later down the line, once we're officially into Act 2. That said, we'll just burn through this stuff. This is all prone to change once I decide exactly what I want to do with him. Yeah, that's fine. Next we have Cam, who will of course stay on the path of the Sanctified Slayer, which at this level nets her a pretty significant boost to Initiative, +3, I believe. Then we'll shore up her rogue skills, nothing special there. But I think we will go ahead and max out her mobility. We've got plenty of perception in the party, so that can be secondary. But long term, she'll be riding at 7, and I think her dexterity is going to be high enough that we'll want her to invest in mounted combat. Oh, and then her perception will naturally balance out over time because she has that special Stern Gaze bonus from Inquisitor, which scales with level. So that actually does work out. As for feats, she of course will take Weapon Focus Rapier, for the exact same reasons I was originally going to give it to Vex. Except in her case, I think we will keep her on Rapier and Buckler. We won't mess around with 2-weapon fighting for her. There we go. As far as spells go, we're going to keep this simple. We're just grabbing buffs that are compatible with greater enduring spells. And that's it for Cam. Which finally brings us to Seela. She gets a bunch of paladin stuff, not much we really have to muck with there, but useful. Her skills stay the same, most of that's moot anyway. And as for her feat, she picks up her mount at 5, so we're going to start prepping her for that. She does not get teamwork feats for free, like Vex and Cam do, so we're going to have to keep it pretty frugal if we want room for other stuff. So we will just take Precise Strike at 3, and then Outflank at 5, and that'll be it as far as teamwork feats go. Short term, though, that will make it slightly easier for Vex and Kaz to proc their own Precise Strikes. Then at later levels, we'll start leaning her into Cornigon Smash or Dreadful Carnage, maybe both. Plus Shatter Defenses. But that's way out there, like Act 4. Her first Mercy goes into Fatigue, and we'll also pick up Mercy Exhausted when we get the chance. I like to use that to eke out some extra travel time when our more frail party members start getting worn out. And I guess that's it. As usual, feel free to let me know what you guys think of my decisions or what you might suggest doing differently. I'll be sure to take all your feedback into account. But for now, let's get out to the Defender's Heart and get the rest of this stuff squared away. Hey, wait. Mind if I bend your ear about something? Anevia is outside your door, leaning casually against a shelf. So, here's the first and most important thing. Beth gave you a crucial mission. I get that, and I know you'll get the job done. I saw you in action. But here's the rub. By sending you out on an errand, we're weakening our defenses here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Okay, so what? You want us to stay here? You what? No, your task is far too important. You can't just hole up here all cozy-like, waiting for the demons to knock on the door. We need to take the fight to them. But if those freaks try to make a move on this place, Beth will send a runner to get you. If that happens, you get back here, alright? 'Cause if you don't, you'll be coming back to an ash pile. Got it? Well, hold on a second. When exactly do you think this is going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. It might not be here. They might attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand, and that we're going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know, after they attack, some things could be changed beyond recognition. So if you've got any business that needs taking care of, you'd better do it soon. Right, that's our warning about the soft timers. Also, the rift that damn beetle left with its scythe? Yeah, well, it cut the city in two, and it's kinda difficult to get across. My scouts tell me there's a halfway decent place to set up a crossing at Market Square. Not that any of them tried it to make sure. But if you've got a mind to go across, and I think you're going to have to eventually, you might want to give the square a once-over. Noted. Thanks. I'll let you know how it goes. Later. Watch yourself out there. And that, I suppose, would be our first quest for Act 1. Well, technically, I suppose we have several others that carried over from the prologue. And then I think we've also got like a dozen other quests and quest lead-ins we have to collect before we even set foot out of this tavern. I suppose we'll start with the bartender. According to my notes here, he should have one lead-in for us. And then we can also take care of our equipment at the same time. A strange figure towers over the bar. A huge, ungainly man with skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from a distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted, and blood-filled eyes stare impassively out at you from beneath his pale brows. The glass in the albino's large, clumsy hands looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those calloused fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. What'll it be? That, necklace you're wearing. That's a symbol of Caden Kalian, right? I'm a tavern keeper, best in the city, the best there's ever been. And I pray to the best god there is. You know what? I can't disagree with that. If not for the fact that we were going the route of the trickster, Caden would have been my first choice. So, you seem like quite an interesting character. What's your deal? The albino slowly takes your measure with his red eyes, and finally, with a gentle sigh, says, Gemyl Hawks, vampire. Whoa, really? Gemyl gives you a long look of reproach, and then grudgingly answers, no. So, what's someone like you doing in a town like this? How did anyone end up here? How did you? Or them? With a huge hand, the tavern keeper gestures at the ragtag group assembled in the room. The world is big, but still there isn't a place for everyone. People who no longer have a place anywhere else. They end up here. I see. So, what's the word around town? The albino looks around. There are demons everywhere, and you showed up. Okay, I see you're not one for, talking. Gemyl gives you a long, mournful look, and says nothing. Okay, great. Look, I'm headed out shortly. Any places you think I should check out? If you mean places that normal people usually stay well away from, then there are plenty. Like the Bataxian wine cellar. Gemyl pauses for effect, like the name of the place alone should make you quiver with fear. It once belonged to a Bataxian trading house. Then King Iravetti came to power in Patax, and property started to change hands. Soon after, the seller's shop assistant was found in a ditch. Not all of him, mind, just his head. Numerian gangsters had taken possession of the place. They wanted to sell something stronger than wine on the street, and they ended up on the gallows. Then King Iravetti's number was up, so now the store stands empty and unclaimed. People say that a headless ghost wanders the place at night, moaning ghoulishly. Ooh. After coming to the end of the story, unusually long by his standards, the tavern keeper takes a swig from his tankard. Just don't ask me how he makes any noise with no head. I wasn't there. I just tell it like I heard it. Honestly, I think that would be pretty simple to explain. It's just the air being forcibly expelled from his severed windpipe. And I hate that I just said that. Alright, let me see what you got. Okay, so he's a tavern keeper. He's got about what you'd expect. Food, potions. We're going to grab the small bag of holding. And that recipe, I suppose. And he does have a couple of interesting magic items, but I don't think either of these are really a good fit for our party. I might come back for the Gloves of the Neophyte, but that's pretty low priority. We'll dump the majority of the masterworks we picked up. I'm hoping we'll hit about 3,000 gold. Oh, nice. Almost hit 4. We'll go ahead and dump the Inflict scrolls too. Oh, shoot. Did I forget to, I did. I forgot to grab our promo items before we actually talk to that guy. Gemyl, could you look at these 20 things for me real quick? Thanks. Alright, let's give this stuff a gander. +1 scale mail, with a +2 insight bonus against undead. Interesting. I suppose we could toss that over to Cam. It's the same weight as her current breastplate. Though obviously eventually we'll want to get her into something lighter. Short term though, this will let us get some use out of it, so I guess that works. We've got the Arcane Signet, which is Magic Missile 3 times per day. We're going to sit on that for now, toss it to our first dedicated caster, just to help them get by at low levels. Same with the Unholy Signet, that's Bane 3 times per day. And then we've got the Flow of Water, which is what we pulled out of that room with the Water Elemental back in the Shield Maze. That's not much use to us. It's more designed for cold-based casters, like a Winter Witch. But in our case, our primary caster is going to be fire-based, so I might just end up selling it. Cam does not have the weight capacity for boots, so we'll go ahead and toss that to Seela instead. Which honestly makes more sense, I think. She's our heaviest hitter right now, so it is important that she stays mobile. Next we have the Dashing Cavalier's Gloves, which grant a +1 morale bonus on attack rolls, and +2 on damage rolls while mounted. That I am earmarking for Vex, but not until he hits level 4, at which point he can take advantage of the damage bonus. Until then, we'll toss those to Seela as well, both because she has the strength to carry them, but also because, again, as our heaviest hitter, she's the one who needs that accuracy bonus the most. Then we've got the Red Dragon Helmet. That grants 10 points of fire resistance, as well as a 3 times per day burning hand spell, I guess. That will also go to Seela, mainly because she's the only one who has the weight capacity for it. Looking good there, Seela. Then we have the Hero's Cloak, which allows you to cast Heroism once per day as a 3rd level wizard. It also acts as a Cloak of Resistance +1, though it doesn't mention it in the description, so we're going to go ahead and swap that out on Vex. Red's more his color anyway. Then we have the Magnificent Plumed Hat, which grants +5 to maximum hit points. And I would toss this to Vex, but unfortunately it is far too heavy for his frail halfling neck. So, you know what? We are just going to slap that on Kaz instead. Because as of 2 patches ago, cats can now wear hats. Though sadly it does not actually update their character models to show them wearing the hat, but it is a step in the right direction. Next we've got the Righteous Exorcist's Bracers. That's +1 damage versus demons. And we'll slap that on Seela. I would give it to Lan, but he's better off with Bracers of AC right now. And we have Head Chomper, a belt slot pet that grants +2 to Perception and Nature, which are skills that Vex has, so I guess we'll have to shuffle things real quick to make sure he can actually slot Head Chomper without being encumbered. That works. And then we have the Silver Tongue Amulet, +2 competence on Persuasion. Which I suppose will go to Seela, because she inexplicably has our highest persuasion score. Though I do imagine that won't last once we start filling out the rest of the party. Okay. Thusly equipped, I think we're ready to resume gathering intel and plot hooks. I suppose we should start with Staunton over there, since he's the one who knows where the storyteller is. And then we'll just work our way around the room from there. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high, crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside are dead. Oh, it's you. Good work back there, in the great garrison. Name's Staunton Vhane, if you've heard rumors about me. His face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me, it's true. That's a weird way to start a conversation, but okay, I'll bite. What exactly do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as a Rielu Vorlesh. That I'm a disgrace, even among the ranks of the condemned. That Queen Galfrey should never have spared me. That I belong on the gallows. Cool, you didn't make this awkward at all. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Staunton gives you a long, morose look, then sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade forces are holed up in a fortress on the edge of the World Wound, instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the Wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it, until it fell. And all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tried. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so. But the Queen intervened. She said that I should live and fight in order to undo what I had done. So that's how I live. Decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. As you can see, I have fixed nothing. and I have earned no one's forgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face, too? It wouldn't surprise me. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I am a follower of Callistria, but he hasn't expressly wronged me. So, I don't think I'd take vengeance on someone else's account. Look, buddy, you got a second chance. You should take advantage of that. Don't blame other people if you can't make it work. Do you think you're the first to come to me with sermons? The dwarf shrugs indifferently. So you lost an entire city by yourself. How'd you manage to do that? What do you mean, how? The knight glares at you from beneath his furrowed brows. If you don't trust the word of a condemned, go ask somebody else. Like my little brother, Joran. And if you still don't believe it, what's it to me? But if you're about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the 1000th time, don't. Dude, you brought it up. I'm starting to see why you don't have friends. Well, I couldn't have survived this long if I was completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never abandoned me. Everyone else shies away from me like they might catch what I've got. Even fighters and the condemned console themselves by thinking, I got stripped of my rank, but at least I'm not Staunton. Commander Tirabade seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a drudge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle. She's had some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's no surprise that she's the only one to hold on to her sense of reason in this farce. Well, hang in there, buddy. I'm sure you'll earn your penance at some point. How much longer could it possibly take? That's not up to me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hands. He falls silent for a moment, and then in a trembling voice he adds, The condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I've prayed to Torak for forgiveness. Countless times I've gone to his priests. Countless times I've kneeled before his altar. If only the father of dwarven kind would answer my prayers just once. Not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I'm still one of his children. But it seems he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals when my own god doesn't think I deserve redemption? Oh boy, Staunton, this is really awkward. I just wanted to ask you about the storyteller. Irabeth mentioned you might know where he is. The storyteller? Staunton strokes his beard in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours, asking about all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort, he just listened. At first, I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible. But later, I realized that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he's alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble, too. So if he's alone in the city, well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Black Wing. It's a library. Here, I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what use a library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. Thank you, Staunton. I do appreciate that. Good luck with all the, stuff. I gotta go. Go on, then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Oh, Staunton, I don't think that is a good idea for either of us, but, you know what? We'll see. Gwerm, how you doing? Here, take this. Yes, it's 2,000 coins. Take your payment and remember that Horgus Gwerm always keeps his word. You helped me get back to the surface, and I duly paid you for escorting me. Now, speaking of our future cooperation... Horgus looks at you with unvarnished disapproval, his arms folded across his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would be perfect for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your services. Hold up. What do you mean, someone like me? Or an adventurer, ready to sell their soul for booze and then lie down drunk in the gutter. Or do you think you're somehow different? A traveling knight, perhaps? Noble of heart, but without a coin to your name? Horgus sizes you up critically, then sighs and shrugs. You seem a reliable enough ally to me, and you did get me through those mongrel caves, so why should I care what you do with my money once you've got it? Horgus seems like one of those people who thinks the entire world owes them something. However, you hear notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to conceal it. Interesting. You know what? I would be upset about how he's talking to me, but he's actually not wrong. That sounds like a pretty accurate assessment of who Vex is. Also, he is presumably paying us to put up with his nonsense, so I think we can tolerate him for a while longer. Alright, Gwerm, what's the gig? You shall be my bodyguard. You see, I have a good reason to return to my mansion in Canabras. I still have... well, it doesn't matter, it's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and fraudster in the city tried to get inside, one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state it's in now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abadar knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would ask you to meet me at my mansion and guard me there, until I complete my business. I already asked the local paladins for help, but they've no desire to set foot outside this tavern. Damn cowards and traitors. That's what they are. Also, please, do take Camellia with you. I trust that girl more than the rest of your gang. She is of noble birth, after all. Alright, Gwerm, you are, starting to push things a bit too far. How much am I getting paid for this? 1,000 gold coins, Horgus replies without hesitation. How about we double that, and then I'll take it under consideration. Ha! Yeah, right. For that kind of money, I could hire Queen Galfrey herself to guard me. 1,000 is my final offer. Well, I guess we don't have a deal then. Let me know how things turn out with the Queen. Horgus bores into you with his inquisitive eyes. Why do you refuse? You don't need the money? Perhaps it's not enough? Fine, I'll double the amount. And just like that, I'm back in. Deal. Marvelous. Most excellent. Horgus's face relaxes, smoothing a few of the tense lines. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand. But do hurry, unless you want me to lower your reward. Hey, do what you gotta. Just keep in mind, if you do reduce my reward, I will proportionately reduce the amount of your body that I actually guard. How do you feel about your ankles? Alright, who is next? Anevia, in her muted colors, blends almost perfectly into the background. She appears relaxed, but her seemingly unfocused eyes are taking in everything around her, tracking and filtering potential threats. The only tell is the way she drums her fingers on her hips, near her weapon sheath. She shows no signs of her injuries and confidently leans on her previously broken leg. She pretends to have just noticed you, even though she watched you approach from afar. Oh, hey, see how they patched me up? Now I can run, jump, or dance a jig if I feel like it. Well, that is just fantastic. Hey, we're heading out soon. Any places you think we should swing by? You know, there were a couple of spots I wanted to check out, but I didn't have time. If there really is a den of cultists there, it would be good if you could swoop in there and bust some heads. Don't even need a search warrant. Anevia shoots you a crooked smile. First one is the Silken Thread. It's a funny little tailor shop that doesn't take any orders and never buys any fabric. But they always seem oh so busy. They're busy with something in there all right, but sewing it ain't. Second one is the Alchemy Shop, Topaz Solutions, and they trade in everything, not just healing potions. Judging by the ingredients they've been buying on the black market, there's something fishy about the alchemical rituals going down in that place. Cool, I do appreciate that. That's 2 more locations for us to go gather loot and XP at when we're out and about. We won't worry about the rest of this stuff. I do want to eventually run through all of her backstory and whatnot, but that can wait for another time. Alright, you watch yourself now. Okay, we're headed downstairs next, but I think there's something we have to do with Irabeth. No, we already gave her the cultist dispatch, right? Hylor and the Spinner of Nightmares. Which does sound fascinating. Hylor is our Pathfinder contact, and the Spinner of Nightmares is a named demon I think we'll eventually end up having to fight. But it's also a pretty lengthy lore dump, so we're just going to set that aside for now. And I'll revisit it in a special book-centric mini-episode or something. For now, we've got more important things to do. Jernaugh, they moved you. A young man in well-worn traveling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of a rastal on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and ripe sheaves of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm, chestnut-colored eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of us whose talents lie off the battlefield. I'm Jernaugh, servant of Erastil. Pleased to meet you. Vex. What do you, hate robes or something? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me as yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal. But there's a reason people say, have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. Optimistic. So definitely not a local then. No, I was just passing through Canabras. I was sailing down that old man of yours, the great Salin River, to a village by the name of Chilly Creek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself. But I ended up staying in the city longer than I'd bargained for. Chilly Creek, huh? Can't say I've heard of it. It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps. But people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their dead a dignified burial. And the world wound is a stone's throw away. So I'll be setting sail for Chilly Creek to serve my god and my people. Once we've held Canabras, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here, on the bank of the river. The priest marks Chilly Creek on your map. Thanks, I guess. Are you sure you should be traveling out here by yourself? I won't lie. I am afraid, but what can I do? These villagers are simple people. Every day of their short lives is spent doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want. Something simple but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me like elves do, I might have spared some 50 years or so to travel around the world. The young man smiles. Or maybe even 100, why not? But I don't have any time to spare, so I want to spend my short life in a place where I'm needed most. Even if it's dangerous. Especially if it's dangerous. You know, I could use the help of a cleric. Jernaugh makes a helpless gesture. Erastil knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted, and I have no training in potions or scrolls. See this robe I'm cutting up for bandages? It's the second to last one. Alright, well, it has been a pleasure, Jernaugh. I'll leave you to your stripping then. He seems nice. Alright, let's see what we've got here. Surrender thy soul, Delvin! Iomade, protect us! Ha ha ha, got you again. How many times is that today? Take your jokes and shove 'em, tiefling. Ah, Woljif. He does seem like a merry japester.
Hey, Chief! Hey, Dreamboat, come over here! I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
The young tiefling sits cross-legged on the floor. He looks relatively calm for someone in shackles, but his tail whips back and forth in agitation. Noticing your attention, the tiefling sits up and beckons you over.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out!
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap.
Huh. You know what? I immediately like you. So who am I talking to?
Woljif. Woljif Jefto. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
The tiefling rattles his chains and gives you a meaningful look. Okay, and what exactly do you expect me to do about that?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
I don't know, Woljif. I feel like you might be over-promising a bit here, but I will happily take advantage of that.
What a load of guff! If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
Okay, well, before I make any commitments, why exactly are you in there?
Does it really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
He was caught thieving.
Oh, good, so not like a real crime then. And what's with the voracious demon shadow? That seems odd.
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not contagious.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically I did want to help you. How would I go about doing that?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty-looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. You got that? Will you do it?
You know what? It turns out I do, in fact, have an in with that particular commander. So, yeah.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
Cool. I'll, see what I can do. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Looks like we're down to the last couple of things on our list. We'll just clear out the basement here real quick, then we have to go out to the yard. There's one person out there we have to talk to. And then we can wrap things up by having a quick chat with Irabeth. See if we can spring our new friend Woljif, who almost certainly will not stab us in the back. You know, I was going to make a bigger deal of solving that puzzle, but I did that so many times during the beta that I just have the solution memorized. I still have no idea what the clues are supposed to be. I've always just brute forced it. Just for context, from what I understand, this is a shrine to Pelura, the goddess of the Northern Lights, a chaotic good associate of Desna, the goddess of dreams. She was one of the patron deities of the original Sarkorians who used to live here before the world wound opened up. Unfortunately, once the Crusade started up, apparently there was some friction between the Inquisitors of Iomedae and the people who still worshipped Pelura, as is described in this letter we just picked up. Hence why shrines like this had to be hidden, as this one was. Again, we'll just set that aside for now. We'll revisit it when I do some sort of RetconRaider episode. Still workshopping the title. Side note, the helmet we just picked up is a headband of Charisma +2. I'll get that officially ID'd once we're back upstairs. But first, let's pop out to the yard, grab some more loot, and have one more extended conversation. Joran Vhane, I presume. The brother of the infamous Staunton Vhane. Let's hope you're slightly less awkward in conversation than he was. A grizzled dwarf turns a blade in his calloused hands, carefully inspecting its edge. When he sees you approaching, he sets the blade aside and greets you with a nod. A new face in the city. You picked a good time to come to Canabras. As you can see, we're in sore need of warriors. What, so you know everyone in Canabras by sight? Well, not everyone, but I make it my business to know the people who might need my services. A blacksmith's work isn't just at the anvil, you know? I can appreciate that. So you're Staunton's brother, right? Yep. Where he goes, I go. That's how we've always done it, even before the world wound. I forge the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it. He brings it back to me and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything's changed since then, of course, but that part has always stayed the same. Hey, I hope you don't mind me asking, but what is your brother's deal? I've told this story so many times already. Well, telling it one more time won't kill me. The blacksmith sighs. Dresden was built after the First Crusade, back when it seemed like victory was ours for the taking, and that the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of Old Sargeras was thoroughly diminished, and many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all our hopes, and on Mendev's ambitions, though you're not supposed to say that part out loud. What a city it was, Vex, whose name I suddenly know. You can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the Five Kings Mountains. Queen Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the Crusade movement, a monument to its glory and a beacon of hope for all Golarion. Heroes were drawn there to seek fame and fortune, and they came from all over. Taldor, Garund, Tianxia. I couldn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valor was kept there, the banner that had been carried into battle by Iomedae herself, back when she was still human. That banner protected the city and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls. As long as the banner was in place, Dresden was invincible. Or so we thought. But then the world wound suddenly expanded. The demons launched a new onslaught, and folks started saying it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young officer was tempted by a beautiful woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging in the city, that its rightful place was on the battlefield. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor, and convinced him that he could be a hero as great as Iomedae herself. and the poor fool believed her. He rounded up some of his hot-headed friends and carried the banner outside the city gates on an unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them within seconds, but for some reason the courageous ringleader was spared. A whole army teleported into Dresden. It was a bloodbath. Joran solemnly shakes his head. As you can guess, that officer was called Staunton Vhane, and the woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon. It was Minago, that foul wretch. She's given us a lot of grief here in Canabras, too. Just don't ask me what I was doing while my brother was off having trysts with that beast, and why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. The blacksmith gestures as if to ward off the inevitable reprobation. Who could have guessed it would have ended like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth. I blame myself every day, looking at his plight. So, that's the story. Wait, if you guys were in Dresden, do you recognize this sword? Do I recognize it? Of course I do. I made this with my own hands. There's my brand, see? The dwarf carefully takes the sword in his hands, gazing at it like a doting father. Oh, Yaniel, things have been tough without you. But at least we've still got your sword. That's something. Joran returns the sword to you. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted, they break. But sometimes a weapon can preserve, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm no authority on these things. But something like an echo of the deeds done with that weapon. Or more like the reflection of the wielder's soul. I don't know. I will say one thing. Take care of that sword. Yaniel may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they need to turn tail and run when they see radiance. Ah, the scabbard's all worn. We can't have a fine sword like this being carried around in this tatty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like. If the city stands strong and we both survive, come see me again and I'll have it ready. No charge. Well, I appreciate that. Why are you set up out here anyway? This is a tavern yard, right? Wherever I am, that's where my forge is. A true master of any craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course. It's now just a pile of charred stone and metal. But I've still got my hands, and that means I can work. I like Joran. He seems like a pretty cool dude. Even if he is stuck perpetually cleaning up after his grumpy, pessimistic brother. I hope things work out for them, but I do have my doubts. In the short term, he is of course our primary source for magic weapons and armor, though nothing I think we really need, because he doesn't have any magic kopeshes, or magic rapiers for that matter. That's all stuff we'll have to scavenge out in the field. The armor is slightly more interesting, but I'm not sure any of this is actually worth the expense, because we will be finding some decent stuff once we get out and about. Anyway, let's go grab the rest of the stuff around the yard, and then I think it's just the Woljif thing. Okay, let's go chat up Irabeth and go spring Woljif. I suppose we've also got a big pile of new vendor trash to sell, but I'll take care of that stuff off screen. Then next time we'll jump right into adventuring. Irabeth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How is the city? Yeah, I haven't actually left yet, but, I couldn't help but notice there's a guy chained up in the basement. What's up with that? Irabeth shrugs scornfully. Woljif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in Canabras. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magic items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them, and the rest managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him apart from the Defender's Heart, but that's hardly a prison. Woljif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? Irabeth squints at you thoughtfully, then shrugs. If you want to recruit Woljif and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guards' hands. We can ill afford to let soldiers spend their days watching over a middling thief. I hope the tiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along. Oh, well that was easy. Thank you. I'll go let Woljif know the good news.
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
Well, I talked to Irabeth, and it turns out that you now work for me. Let's hope that neither of us ends up regretting this arrangement.
Ha ha! You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin, get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
Woljif leaps to his feet and gleefully rubs his hands.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can you? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that Big Sister Charisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
Huh, okay. I thought we'd have to have a follow-up conversation with him to actually unlock the quest, but he gave it to us right now instead. That's convenient. Which means that we are officially done with our pre-adventure checklist. Oof, I see we're also pushing the hour mark. So you know what? This pretty much worked out perfectly, because this is an excellent break point. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll get Woljif outfitted. He is our new 5th party member. In fact, I might go grab that magic dagger we saw in Joran's inventory. I think we can afford that. Then I'll do one last pass around the tavern, just to make sure we're not missing anything important. And next time, we can hopefully jump right into adventuring. I'm thinking we'll gun it for the Tower of Estrid. I do like the sound of a big pile of cultist supplies, just waiting to be claimed and repurposed. But we'll see how it goes. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website. the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
What a load of guff!